Hey, what's up, guys? Hey, we're back on this OBS Ford project, and got a little progress to report, so I figured I would get a quick update here before I start putting this back together. So I've got this door prepped for the mirror. I've got a new mirror head here. Nice tripod. No big dent smashed into it. Intend to spend a little time just cleaning up the stainless steel tubing on this before I install it. Now I'll at least have two matching Ford mirror heads. There's one and there's the other one. So it'll be nice to have those on there. I've had decent luck with the aftermarket ones. They're cheap enough, but they don't seem to be quite as stable as these. They buzz a little in the wind, which makes visibility out the rear a little bit difficult at highway speeds. Got a cracked end here on this plastic pad. This is the pad that mounts against the door, and then the mirror bolts onto that. So I may see if I can go to my local junkyard and get another one of these. But I can put it on that way and swap it out after the fact too. And McMaster-Carr came through as usual on the hardware that I needed to put this all back together. So I'll show you some part numbers here. The screws that go in the upper section of the door here and down here, I checked the originals that I took out. They are M6 by 1.0 pitch. So it's an M6 size with a 1.0 millimeter thread pitch. So that's what those are. And I did go ahead and pick up a box of those. Here's one. They're Torx drive. This was the original that was in there. You can see it's not in the best of shape, so I decided to replace it. The heads on these are a little bit smaller, so I did go ahead and get stainless steel washers as well. These are all 18/8 stainless steel, so I'm hoping those will provide a decent level of corrosion resistance for me. So I'm hoping that I don't regret that. So here's the part number for those. Actually, I guess there is no part number on there, is there? Here we go. That's the part number for the screws. They're 25 millimeters long. That's what I ended up getting for those. There's the stainless flat washers. I ended up getting 1/4 inch. They're pretty close in size to an M6. I use more standard fasteners than I do metric anyway. Price was a little better on these as well, so that's what I got. That's the part number on those. So I got those. Little pack of riv nuts. Once again, M6. There's the McMaster-Carr part number on those if you want them. And then the other two packages that I've got here are some fasteners that go on the bottom of the mirror heads. This is actually a 3/8 16 thread. Goes up in the bottom of this base. I wanted to put stainless bolts on here as well. I just didn't have quite the right length, so I went ahead and picked up a box of those, which I believe is, this is the washers. Ended up getting some 3/8 flat washers as well. And I don't know if there's a part number on those or not. Doesn't look like it. And there's my bolts, 1.5 long, 3/8 16. Got all that shipped to my door for the grand total of about $38. Next day, there's those part numbers if you'd like to see those. But anyway, got all the hardware here. I started putting this back together. Went ahead and drilled the holes in the door panel, and I got my riv nuts installed. Touched up the inside of the hole with some primer and paint prior to putting the riv nuts in there. And then I went ahead and just touched it up a little bit afterwards. Masked some things off to try and eliminate getting overspray all over the thing. I do have some little scratches and things in this door, but that'll ensure that it matches the rest of the truck. So I've got the riv nuts in here. I also put a little bit of sealer on those before I put them in. I didn't want to use anything that had silicone in it because I know paint won't stick to silicone. So I ended up using a paintable acrylic latex, like a Alex household sealant. I was going to go out and buy a tube of body seam sealer and put it on there. I don't have any here that's good, but I didn't want to spend the money to buy an entire tube when I needed, you know, that much. So I just figured I'd throw a little bit of what I had on there. We'll see how it works. The other thing on this that I noticed between this door and the old door is that the old one has a panel stuck to the inside of the skin. And I talked with a friend of mine who used to work at the dealership. He said it's just a sound deadener. Just kind of attenuates the sound coming through that panel a little bit. This new one did not have that. And I don't know that that really provides much reinforcement to that door skin. But I know with my old door, that mirror head hangs out far enough from the door that it does kind of rattle the door panel around a little bit when you slam the door. And even on the highway, it'll flex a little bit. So I went ahead and did something on this that I don't know whether I would have needed to, but I decided to do it anyway. I went ahead and backed up that panel with a piece of light gauge sheet metal that I had here. And I didn't want to, you see it all the way across there. It just goes, it's about 5 inches longer than the spacing of the mirror mounts. I went ahead and glued it to the inside of the door panel, hoping that that would keep it from vibrating too terribly badly. That just gives a little bit of extra purchase to those riv nuts, kind of backs up that panel a little bit, and provides a little bit more structure there to the door panel so it doesn't flex as easily. So, I mean, you can see that it did do a decent job of stiffening that panel up. So I'm hoping that'll kind of help make it a little bit sturdier once I get that big mirror bolted on there. Like I said, I don't know that I would have had to do that, but I did it anyway, so what the heck. So at this point, I still need to swap over that wing window. I'll have to swap over the lock cylinder. I think I might go ahead and swap the door handle as well. This one, the chrome is peeling a little bit on the top, but it's peeling pretty badly there under the bottom. I think the other one that I've got is in a little better shape than that one, so I think I'll probably just go ahead and swap that while I'm at it. So we'll go through that. I'm going to use some anti-seize. Anytime you're using stainless hardware like this, anti-seize is your friend. Stainless tends to gall. It almost friction welds itself together when you put the fasteners in. And I wanted to use stainless for the corrosion resistance. Obviously this thing's just hanging out there in the breeze, and it's going to see all the weather. And around here, if it gets used at all in the wintertime, it's going to see road salt and all that other grit and grime. So I wanted to have stainless there for corrosion resistance, but you do have to be careful because it does gall. So use your anti-seize when you do that stuff. Go heavy on it, slop it on there. That really helps to kind of keep those connections loose so that you can take them back apart if you need to. So that's kind of where we're at. Just a little bit of progress for right now. Hopefully here in the next day or two I'll get a chance to swap this door onto the truck. I'll have to remake my wiring connections inside the door, swap the wing window, swap over the lock cylinder, and then hopefully we can get that mirror hung. So that's kind of where we're at for right now, but I figured I'd bring you in, show you the progress, and be back when I've got a little more progress to show. So see you soon. Alright guys, well, we're getting into the innards of this door here. I'm getting it stripped down so that I can move the wiring and things over. And working inside these doors can be a little bit challenging. So what I've chosen to do on this thing is to actually unbolt the latch, take the whole mechanism loose, actually pull it kind of sideways here. I also took the bottom of the window track. I don't know if you can see that in there or not. It bolts up right here. Took it loose so I can kind of move it around as I need to, because what I needed to do was get in here and unplug the bottom, I guess, wiring connector off of this lock actuator. I had a problem some time ago that this actuator quit working, so I kind of modified this already and put a bolt on it. Sometimes these things are riveted on. You have to drill the rivet out down here in the door to get that actuator loose. I'm hoping not to have to do that on the door that I swap on here, but at any rate, one bolt there, 3 bolts here. There's a couple of little clips and things that you have to pop loose on the lock cylinder and the push button for the latch to be able to kind of pull everything loose. But there's that whole latch mechanism. At this point, I could probably just pull it right out of here. I guess it's on this cable. Yeah, it's got all these rods hanging out here. There it goes. There it is. So that's how you get that thing out. So I've got that out. Kind of strip this door down a little bit. I think I'm going to go ahead while the wiring is still connected to the window and put the window down. I've got the window up at this point, but I think I'd like to run it down so I can pull that wing window out to swap it over to the new one. For the wing window, there's a bolt here. Technically, I guess it's a screw, a machine screw. One there and one there, and then one down here that fastens into the bottom of that track, and then you can pull that whole thing out. So we'll go ahead and put the window down, take that wing window out. I may go ahead and just take the rest of the hinge mechanism and things off of this latch, so I've got the whole latch loose from the door. Just kind of finish stripping it down here and get ready to pull this door off the truck. So hopefully we'll get that new door onto the truck here this evening and get it buttoned up. Even if we don't have all the ancillaries on, at least we'll get the door hung. So that's where we're at. Well, a little progress. The door is hanging on the truck. Got the window wired up, got the power lock wired up. I had to swap over the power lock solenoid because the one that was in here was broken. The window works. I got the wing window switched over, so got a working wing window here now instead of a hole full of jagged glass. Still not quite happy with how I've got the door lined up. I'll have to take some time and align it. That sometimes can be a real process. You kind of chase your tail for a while to get that done. But the door's hanging on the truck. It opens, it closes. Not as well as I'd like it to, but it does close up. The issue that I've run into, of all things, is the lock cylinder. This door didn't come with a lock cylinder in it, and I would have swapped this one into it anyway because it matches the ignition key. But the dimensions of the hole in this door are not the same as the dimensions of this lock cylinder. So long story short, it doesn't fit. So I have to do a little bit of massaging there. I would rather take a little meat out of the lock cylinder than out of the door. But yeah, we'll see what happens here. I'm sure one way or another we'll wrangle it in there and make it fit. So I think that's probably where I may quit for the evening. It's getting dark out here. Main thing was to get that door swapped over, get it fastened on. I do need to still put my vent visor or window vent on there. I like having those on here. I think they would look about right on these trucks. Just a little accent, something a little different. Plus, I do like to leave the windows cracked a little bit in the summertime when it's hot. So, like I said, I've got to do some alignment on the panels here. Still need to hang the mirror. But I've got a door, and it's not got a finger hole here where you can stick your finger in. There's no crack. I think the paint is going to work out okay. Got to do something about that weather stripping, the door molding strip on here. But we'll figure something out. But a little bit of progress, so I figured I'd shoot a little video, show you what we're doing. So I'll bring you back in here again when I've got a little more progress to show you. A little more progress on the OBS Ford here. Mirrors on, doors in place. Spent some time with a variety of files and opened up the hole for the lock cylinder, and I've got first coat of touch-up paint on there. So well on our way to having this thing back together. I can't put the interior panel back on until I get the lock cylinder in, get the rod snapped into the back side of it, and test everything out, make sure it all works. So pushing to try and get this done, get some paint on there, let it dry for a while, and maybe put it back together tomorrow. So it'd be nice to have this done and behind me and move on to something else. So in the meantime, working on a couple other things. I cleaned the tripod up a little bit on this. Looks pretty good. The mirror's still a little dingy. I need to spend a little time cleaning it up, but I'll take you back here and show you that I got the other Ford mirror head put on. So it'd be nice to have two good Ford mirror heads on there again. This aftermarket mirror is just kind of flimsy. They flex here in the bracket, and with wind and things at highway speeds, this mirror just kind of vibrates and rattles around. It doesn't work real well. So I want to get a couple other blind spot mirrors. I kind of like that one that I had on here. It's nice and big. It's nice for backing up trailers and things, but that's kind of where we're at. Slowly making progress here, and one step closer to having this thing done. So figured I'd show you the progress. Well, there we are. New doors on. Lock cylinder is fitted up. Everything works. Got my little vent visor on there. Interior door panel is back on. Power window works. Locks work. So I think we're going to call this one done. It's not perfect by any means, but it's good enough for an old work truck. So we're going to call this one finished and move on to the next thing. So thanks for watching. If you haven't already, if you could hit the subscribe and the like buttons on this video, I'd greatly appreciate it. I'm a small channel here, and it'd really help me out. Looks like Brown Santa is here, so better go see what he's got for me. Thanks again.